I received an interesting question today about the deck that I built, and it was about the CAMO deck screws that I used. You notice you don't see any screw heads anywhere, and that was by design and by quite a bit of extra spending on these fancy screw bits. Now, I actually have a video series that I'm planning for the entire deck. The reason it isn't done yet is the deck isn't actually done yet. I haven't put my balusters in, and I haven't put this step in, and I want to have an establishing shot that shows from the original design, which I did in that that Google, the heck is it called, software anyway. I designed the whole thing inch by inch and then built it, and I met the inch by inch design, for better for worse. So anyway, the screws, the deck screws work great, and there's a couple of issues with having the boards go diagonal like this. So how do the deck screws go if your joists are diagonal to the deck boards? And that's not a problem as long as you stagger where the screws go in. So you can see the joist, that screw is coming in at an angle like this, and this one here is going in at an angle like this. So both of them meet the joist fine and don't kind of protrude through it. However, wherever you come to the end of a board, you don't really have a lot of material to work with. And so what I've done, can you see it? There's an extra little board I've screwed to the side here. These are from triangular cutoffs of deck boards, and I did that to make the wood, the joist, just a bit thicker every time I come to the end of a board. And so what I've done here is I've screwed as close to the end as I can, but obviously that's going to protrude through the side of the board. So I've screwed something to the side of it to catch that, to make sure that the screw is entirely in place. Here, I've done 2 screws, and both of them go into the joist. The other end of the board, exactly the same thing. There's 2 here, 1 here, and a board screwed in sideways further up. So I have added something to the joist here and here to make sure that I don't have a problem with any of these board ends. There is, in a couple of spots, that's what the deck would look like if I didn't use CAMO screws, but this is going to be underneath the step. So I thought, what the heck, I'm not going to bother. The other issue you have with diagonal boards is you generate a tremendous amount of cutoffs, because you can't just say, well, as long as my board is the right number of multiples of 16 inches or 12 inches or whatever your joist distance is, I went with 16, you're going to be cutting off lengths of board if the end of the board, where's the joist? If the end of the board comes up like here, it's not going to reach there, so then you have to cut it off way back here at a sharp angle. And then you're going to have a scrap of wood that's that long. I have lots of those. Every board has a scrap of wood that's upwards of 1.5 feet long. And that's a lot of boards. Dozens, scores of them. So the best way to mitigate that is to use as long a board as you can. The longest ones that I can get from the local Rona are 16 foot. You can get 20 feet, but you have to special order them. And I wasn't liking the kind of results I was getting from those special order boards. I did have to get some for the pergola. I needed 20 footers. And I wound up having to return a bunch of them just because I wasn't real happy with them. So anyway, 16 foot seems to be good enough, but for goodness sakes, don't use 8-foot boards, except for something like this, which is just fine. Like an 8-foot board just fits this when you cut the 2 triangular ends off. And I've thrown out a lot of the scrap wood I generated, but here's some of it, which I'm going to use when I build the step. I'm going to skirt it like a lady finger cake, like I've done with this. So I've kept a bunch of those just so I don't have to use another brand new board for it. Anyway, if you're looking at building a deck and you have the patience to wait for me to finish my step and my balusters and then do my final video, that's great. If not, I hope this was helpful. Take her easy. See you in the next one.